Hello and welcome to Unlikely Heroes, our live stream today. We have some of my best friends, board members, incredible humans who have supported us for years on this live stream today. Today is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and I feel like that's really important for us to highlight in the midst of everything going on in the world right now, that there are more than 27 million people trapped in slavery who have no voice. And we have the opportunity right now to give them a voice and to take some time and to even talk about what is a difficult issue. But the reality is that it's an issue that is solvable and that we have seen positive change in since we even started Unlikely Heroes and many other organizations who are fighting the good fight since, for us, 2011. So it's our 10-year anniversary this year. One of the things we're doing today is we're going to show you the documentary Voice for the Voiceless. And we went to one of our homes. We have homes all over the world. And we went to one of our homes in Tijuana. And our children wanted to share their voices. The girls who are in our homes, their faces who are under 18, they'll be dark so you can't see their identities. But then our graduates of our home, they wanted to come and bring a voice to their story, and so that we could all see the power in restoration. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things that I've seen working at Unlikely Heroes, is that these kids who have come out of so much abuse, so many of them become powerful survivors, thought leaders, and world changers, who are even more resilient than kids who have had easier lives than any of our kids have dealt with. And so I'm really excited to show you this mini documentary for the Voiceless that we've been working on. And then we will talk about how you can get involved afterwards. And we'll be hearing from all of our good friends. We've got Angela Johnson Reyes on here. She's comedian, actress, board member, huge just supporter. No, I would not still be going if it wasn't for her love and her care. So she's just an incredible human. We've got Katie and Weston Boucher, Katie Corio, and they're huge supporters of Unlikely Heroes and have joined with us in the fight, and also have just really incredible tips for nutrition and sports medicine to change lives, and have worked to give their voice to people who are transforming their lives. And then we have Chike Okonkwo, one of our good friends, actor, and he's worked with the girls in our USA home and knows them well. And we have Leanne Locken, who's been one of the great voices for us in Dallas at a lot of our events, and has really taken her time to show into Unlikely Heroes. And we have Jessica Oyelowo, producer and actress and Unlikely Heroes board member. She has personally taken the time to bring our girls out to her home, host them for Thanksgiving and dinner on Christmas and spring breaks. And I am very glad to be a part of their family, because they have always made me feel like that I was at home as well as our kids. And she's gone to our Tijuana home as well. So I'm excited to hear from all of you guys, and let's watch For the Voiceless.
Desde los 5 años viví abuso sexual y físico. Habían personas que pagaban dinero por tomar fotografías de mí y de mis hermanos, y pasé cosas que no debería de pasar. Yo me sentía incómoda y que me sentía sin valor.
These kids have been groomed and even born to be trafficked at 1-2 years old.
The reality is, when someone is trapped in human trafficking, they have no voice.
Todos éramos muy pequeños cuando empezaron todas las situaciones incómodas que habíamos pasado.
In the US, we never think that it could be my child, but it actually can. You would never want your kid to experience that ever. When you know that there's a little girl out there who is 3-4 years old and being trafficked, it's heart-wrenching.
Mi vida antes fue muy difícil.
Un trauma es difícil. Te cambia. es una lucha muy dura.
These were kids who were being forced and exploited and manipulated so that someone else could benefit off of their innocence.
We had a little girl that came into one of our homes, and she was severely trafficked. She was beaten and she was raped.
Their parents knew about it, and they were selling their bodies, selling photos of these girls, and all for they can make a living. Victims don't say right away what happened. It takes time for them to process and understand.
Unlikely Heroes is a human rights organization that works to stop human trafficking worldwide. We help to recover children who were trapped in human trafficking, and then we have homes where they can recover in the Philippines, Thailand, and Mexico.
By having restoration homes for kids, they can receive medical care, trauma therapy, and education. They receive everything that they need to live a restored life. We work with first responders to be able to identify and know what to do when they come across human trafficking.
Estando aquí puedo ser yo misma y me siento libre.
Mi vida tiene esperanza. Ahora me siento segura.
Por la restauración que me dio la casa, hoy tengo un futuro.
Lo que viví no me define.
Before they come in, they don't know what tomorrow looks like. While they're here and they begin to trust and they begin to heal, you start hearing what they dream about and what they want.
Gracias a la Casa del Jardín pude seguir adelante. Pude creer en mí y poder seguir mis estudios, poder llegar a la universidad y terminar mi carrera.
En la casa cambió mi manera de pensar, cambió que yo pude aceptar ayuda, pude creer en la gente y me pude sentir amada. Dejé de creer que todos me iban a lastimar y que yo no valía nada.
Ahora me siento segura y protegida en esta casa.
When I think about the success stories and how much we love to hear those and celebrate those and how much they fuel us to keep going, I also think about the girls that we have yet to get out. Human trafficking is an injustice that we just can't sit on the sidelines and watch it happen and think that's not for me to get involved in. I just cannot reconcile that there are human beings being sold right now and that we're not more enraged about this issue. We are standing in a critical moment of history.
Tenemos que hablar, que no nos gane el miedo y que nos quedemos callados, porque si no sigue ese ciclo de seguir viviendo en maltrato, en abuso y nadie se da cuenta. Y si nadie se da cuenta, nadie nos puede ayudar.
We need to do this together. We need you to step forward and to say, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do something on behalf of a child who has no voice. And it starts with us asking ourselves one simple question. What can I do right now today on behalf of a child who's trapped in human trafficking and has no voice?
Mi hermano y mis hermanas nos sentimos agradecidos por haber sido rescatados, pero sabemos que aún falta nuestra pequeña hermana por rescatar.
My work here is not done.
So we just had a couple friends join us. Cassidy Pope has been to so many of our Unlikely Heroes events, and Cassidy has just been so incredible. Whenever I call her, she just says, whatever I can do, Erica, I'm going to say yes. So thank you for joining us today, Cassidy. And then we have Brian Head Welch with us, who's in corn. And Brian, I know this has been a topic that's been so special to your heart and close to your heart, and that you have spent so much time dedicating to giving a voice to the voiceless. So Angela, I would love to hear your thoughts on the video and everything you're thinking.
First of all, well done. That was beautiful and touching, and man, you can really just feel the girls' story and their hope. And there was a couple things that the girls said that really stuck out to me. And one of them, she was saying, if we don't use our voice, the trauma will continue and no one will realize it. And to me, that hit me really hard, because how many times do we go about our life and we don't realize things are happening, even just within our own life, our own house, and somebody walked by, you didn't even realize they walked by because you were in your text message or sending that email that needed to get done. You didn't even realize there went, your kid walking this way, or there went my dog running in the street. I didn't even realize. And when she said the trauma will continue and no one will realize it, it felt so like something that could easily just go by, but it's such a weighty thing. It's their lives, it's their hope, it's rescuing and recovering women and children from sex slavery, and people are just going about their lives and they don't even realize it, that we're in this trauma. Like if something doesn't get done, they won't even realize it. For some reason, that really hit me.
Yeah, Jessica is one of our board members and has worked with our kids. What are you thinking, Jess?
Well, I'm thinking a million thoughts. I'm thinking of all the things we can do. I'm thinking of all the ways we can become more aware, like Angela's saying. It's not that we're not meaning to be unaware. We're not meaning to ignore drastic and difficult and traumatic situations in other people's lives. But we can get so caught up in our own dramas that we forget that our dramas are relatively easy to overcome in comparison to a lot of what these kids have overcome. And I love these kids. Like, I love them so much. I've met most of the kids that are in that video, and they are genuinely extraordinary human beings who have overcome so much to get to the point where they can dream and not just survive. And if they can overcome the things that they've overcome, then I can overcome anything that comes my way. And as long as I'm continuing to overcome the things I need to, then I'm available to help and to be there and to support others who have much bigger traumas and difficulties to deal with in their lives. It's unimaginable to me what they've been through, and yet they're there hoping and dreaming. And one girl said, my thoughts, my mind has changed, the way I think has changed. And that's the biggest battle of overcoming trauma, is the way you think about yourself, about the world around you. And the program that we have, that Alma is like the genius running the day-to-day of that down there in Tijuana. It's like, it's so deep what is happening in these kids' lives. It's so life-changing and extraordinary. It's so holistic because it covers every aspect of their lives, that I genuinely become so passionate and happy that I have an opportunity to help and to be part of supporting what's going on. It's such a gift to me to be able to be part of this. It enriches my life so deeply. And I could preach for years about how extraordinary these kids are, the program is, Alma is, and how amazing it is to be a part of it personally. How giving to this, how being part of it with you, Erica, is one of the biggest privileges of my life. Like, why wouldn't I want to help with this? They inspire me so much. I want to watch the documentary every day. I want to meet them every day. I want to be part of their lives every day and remember what a privilege it is to meet such extraordinary overcomers as these girls.
I'm thinking, Jessica, as you're talking, there was this one day at our USA home, and it was just dinner, just normal, like probably Taco Tuesday. We did that every week with the girls. And we had these napkins that probably got donated, and they had like questions, like conversation starters on them. And so everybody had one of the napkins at their seat. And one of them said, one of the girls got the napkin that said, what's one dream for your life? And she said, I just want to be a normal kid.
Right.
And there was just this moment that it was like the air kind of went out of the room. And it was this reality of they're fighting to get just back to normal life. But then when we get to see them dream again, and we have graduates from our USA home now that are at some of the top universities in the United States studying pre-med. One of them's got in her junior year of 4.0 pre-med. She's going to be a doctor. Like, I never thought I could be a doctor when I was that age. And so to see kids come out of so much trauma and then thrive and then use their voices. That's our name, Unlikely Heroes, is that if the kids want to use their voices to stop human trafficking, that they would be given all of the restoration services that they need so that they can be those future world changers and voices. Brian, I'd love to hear from you about some of your thoughts watching the video. And I know you're so passionate about this subject.
Yeah, it was, man, just seeing the girls, talk about everything. It's just, I love that they're not letting other people's actions define their future. And the huge strength that it takes, God-given strength, for them. And I hope that they know that their words are speaking to other children's lives that will see this, because thousands and thousands of people will see this video, over the years. It's going to be online, and hopefully it just grows. And their story, sharing their stories, is so heroic that they are going to speak into the lives of the other young people, that they can get through the horrible circumstances, and that's not going to define who they are, because they can overcome it. And I love what Jessica said. It's just, this life for all of us is, take it or leave it. It's about overcoming things in this life, and we all have something we have to overcome. These girls have been given a huge portion to overcome a lot, but it's very doable, and you can see it in their faces. And the sky's the limit where they can go. I just love how they dream. And man, we have to face this situation, this industry, because it's not going away. And we can't close our eyes and put our heads in the sand. It's not going away. Everybody has to step up and do their part. And yeah, thank you for what you guys do. And I'm honored to be here.
Thank you, Brian. Hey, Chike, I know you've spent a lot of time hanging out with our girls and pouring into them. What are you thinking about?
The first thing that comes to my mind is how grateful I am to you, Erica, to Jessica, for introducing me to Unlikely Heroes and for the work that you guys have done. Because I think from the outside, it can be very, very overwhelming for people to really understand how they can help and how they can support. And it seems like such an intractable problem. It's so huge. Something that I've learned in the work that I've done with young people over the years is that it matters to work with one person at a time, to reach out to one person, to touch one person's life. And I felt very, very honored, as Jess has said, to spend time around the young people who Unlikely Heroes have supported, because one meal at a time, one conversation at a time, one congratulations on graduating at a time, being able to pour back into the lives of young people who've overcome such trauma is a small but very pivotal part of helping to heal that trauma in people. And so I feel very, very honored that you guys have felt the calling to do what you've done, and that you've given people like me an opportunity to support young people and to support these young people's journeys, because otherwise it can be very, very overwhelming and sort of demoralizing to feel like, oh, there's all these problems in the world and I can't help. We can help. It helps to support organizations like yours and to donate and to support your work. But it also helps to just reach out and to be a sort of a loving light in the lives of these young people. I'll tell a very quick story. It's because of your work that I went to the Philippines in 2018 and worked for a month at a school for young people who'd been rescued from sexual slavery and from trafficking. And it was such an interesting month from the aspect of knowing that these young people had been so abused and used by men in the majority, and to see how they're coming together in this space of healing, not only help them to heal themselves, but also help them to heal each other. And by the end of my month there, even though it had been strangers and men and people who had come in and hurt them in so many ways, the love that they showed to me by the end of that time there, it changed my life forever. It really did. A young girl gave me a bracelet that I still have. It says "I love you" because she didn't have the right letters to spell "I love you," but it was really just creative and wonderful. And I remember that moment because I went on a journey with these young people, and being around them every day helped them to trust me and to accept the love that I was offering. And they are the best placed, as Brian said, they're the best placed to speak to others, to really pour into others' lives. And so it's really powerful to see that you guys are really helping one kid at a time to get through these things, because the outreach that they can have on others will be exponential. And I really do feel like will change a lot of lives.
Thanks.
Can I jump in, Erica, and just mention something? Sorry. Something that really, really helped me with what you're saying, Chike, just to help me to articulate this. I used to just be really angry about this issue. And then I was completely ineffective because I was angry. And I'm a mom. I've got 4 children. As a mother, you immediately go to, if someone ever did this to my child, it's too hard. I can't imagine it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to have to think about what has been done to these children to help them then recover from it, because you're so terrified and angry at the prospect of someone treating a child that way. And the only way I could really become effective in this fight and actually stand alongside you, Erica, in a really loving way, was to understand that these kids have had terrible things done to them by people who have had terrible things done to them, and gain compassion. And this is a hard leap, I understand, but to have compassion for the people that are using the kids and pimping the kids, trafficking the kids, understanding that nobody chooses to go into that kind of work. Nobody thinks it's a great thing to go into a, I don't want to get too explicit, but to go into a place where this is available, there's something very broken inside anyone that can actually participate in this kind of thing. And as I gained compassion for the people who were involved at the controlling level, at the trafficking level, it made it so much easier to help the kids, because I stopped being angry on their behalf all the time. They have enough anger, they have enough trauma. I don't need to add to it by being so indignant on their behalf. My job is to love them and allow them to express their own anger and their own trauma and their own fears, so that they can overcome it without me adding, piling on my own issues of anger for what they've been through. But it's a process one has to go through. I think when you first find out about trafficking and that children are being used in this way, you have to be angry and you have to be indignant and you have to be terrified. But if we stay there, we won't do anything. We'll just be angry and indignant, and we won't be effective in fighting on behalf of these kids until we open ourselves up to realize this is a bigger problem than just we have to help these children or me being angry is helpful. That's so much bigger. The solutions for the global issue here are so much bigger than one child at a time, but we only get to understand the big issue and the big solutions by understanding one child at a time. And you can't understand one child at a time if you're indignant and angry. So
powerful, Jess. So good.
Yeah. Cassidy, you've journeyed with us for a lot of years. What's going on?
Wow. I have to follow Jessica.
Go, baby, you got it.
That is so brilliant. Seeing every side to any tragedy like this is so important. And I've definitely been in the angry phase with this movement as well, and have found definitely just kind of focusing on the girls and the goal at hand is way more productive. But the thing that really, first of all, thank you for having me here, and thank you for everything you guys do. I mean, this is, I think I got involved in 2016. And since then, it's just been something really important to me to tell my fans about. And the thing that really struck me in the video was when Erica, you talked about once the girls finally got to a healthy mental space, then all of their dreams started to become apparent. And I'm just thinking, you know, I'm a musician. That's a dream I had since I could remember. I never had a point in my childhood where that was taken from me, that I thought that wasn't a possibility ever, that I couldn't achieve that goal. And thinking about these girls and how that was just not even a part of their psyche because it was such a dark place they were in, and hearing that they could eventually get back to a place, or get to a place in general, of being able to dream again. That was probably my favorite part, because I think, you know, kids should have those dreams. And even if they dream about being a dinosaur, I don't care, like just having a dream. And that's you know, that gives us something to work towards, and a purpose. So I just love that. I loved that aspect, and I think that's really important. And for anybody that's hesitant to watch this, or you know, like you said, Jessica, people with kids who are like, I can't even imagine, I can't watch it, which I have heard in the past. I think just going back to that for me really resonated. So if anyone has difficulty watching or learning about this, just looking at your kids and seeing them being imaginative, and seeing them drawing, and seeing them dream about whatever they want to be when they grow up, and imagining them not having that should give you reason enough to get involved. So that really struck me.
You know, Cassie, that is my favorite part, is seeing our children dream again and seeing their lives fully redeemed. And I remember I was at one of our homes in the Philippines, and one of the girls graduated with her degree in computer programming. So she graduated high school through our home, and then she went on for computer programming. And I was like, I was there right after her graduation, and I said, what are you going to do now that you have your degree in computer programming? And she said, I'm going to get a job, and then I'm going to put my brother and sister through school so that they aren't trafficked. And that was that moment for me, that I'm like, these kids, like one by one, yes, we're recovering them and we're pouring into them, but then they're going to change their families, and they're going to change future destinies of other people, and their voices are going to be the voices that stop human trafficking. And I feel like as we focus on that, and you think about the one life that gets transformed, that then touches so many more, it all of a sudden becomes this issue that doesn't feel so overwhelming, but something that's like, hey, I can do something. I can help the one, and that one's going to help another one, and that one's going to help another one. So Leanne, thank you so much for being such a voice for Unlikely Heroes. I know you've joined us so many times. Please share everything.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me here. I think, for me, I think what resonates the most in that video is it's the recovery and the reassurance that these girls feel. Part of the reason that I've never had children was that I was a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. I didn't want to watch my child ever go through what I'd gone through. So for me, watching their recovery and how they're allowing themselves to believe in their futures is just so powerful to me. It is just so powerful to me that you're giving them back what has been taken from them. And that's, you cannot put a value on that. It's priceless. So for what you do, and for what all of you do, it's priceless. So, you know, I'll always be here. I'll always support Unlikely Heroes.
Thanks, Leanne. Thank you. Katie and Weston, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes. First of all, what an amazing video. Like, you just did an amazing job. And I feel that it conveyed the severity of the issue, but it was also very uplifting in a way that made it feel accessible to people who are so far away from it, to me. And a big moment in the video for me, sorry, I just kind of jumped right in.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
Was when I heard one of the girls say that she feels safe and protected in the home. That to me was like, wow, it made me realize how much I took and continue to take for granted without ever having to deal with what they did. They don't even have their bases covered. You know, like everyday simple living for most of us is not ever promised for them. And that's the fact that she said, I feel safe and protected. I was like, oh, like it was such a heart wrencher for me. And I just want to say kudos to those kids in the video for having the courage to be on camera and share something so traumatic and so personal, and like that's so hard to do. And so that just is a testament to their character and what amazing people they are and will be. I think that this issue to the everyday person seems just too big to touch, but I think that Erica, you and Unlikely Heroes and what you do provides a way for the everyday person to make a difference. And it makes it more accessible and more digestible and more available for us to get involved. So I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you so much for including Weston and I. This is honestly the most important thing we have going in our busy lives. And even like for this meeting, we were like, we have to figure out how to make this work. We're going to do this. This is the most important thing. So just thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. And the film was just done so well. It's so concise, but it conveys so much in such a short time. But their bravery was unbelievable. And even the way they almost casually spoke about the trauma they went through and said when the uncomfortable things began. And I was thinking about how before we went live, we talked about how it's uncomfortable to talk about this subject. And it was just like, that just went out the window for me. Like, I'm so ready to get uncomfortable if that's what it is for me. And I'm excited after watching that to think that this film being nice and short and sweet and just so powerful, I really think it'll do well and it'll be accessible to people. And I can't wait to share more of their stories with others, because I just think that you're the vehicle for this very, very dark subject, but you're bringing light to it in the best way possible.
Thanks. We got 3 children who had all been trafficked. They're all in our homes now of one family, 2 girls and a boy. We had to work for 6 months to get she was 4 at the time, to get the 4-year-old out by putting the story of the older siblings together of the hotels they'd been trafficked at in the different places, and working with the police to get, we call her Ellie, but she has a different name, but we call her Ellie, and to get her out at 4. And to see that moment of reunion when the siblings were able to come together after everything they've been through. But then you heard one of the girls' voices on the video say, and we're still waiting to see our sister get out. And I know that's so hard for so many of our kids, is like, here they're getting education and they're getting trauma therapy and they're getting rehabilitation. They're learning to dream, and they know that their sister or brother is still being trafficked. And I remember landing in a country, and it was like a Tuesday morning at like 11 a.m. And there were just children everywhere who were in begging rings, and many had been maimed. And many of those children were being recruited into brothels. And it's this feeling of, these are not just numbers, these are children. And when I've gone into brothels, I've been all over the world into brothels, and I've seen children. It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm in Manila in a brothel, and there's 30 or 40 young girls who are up at that hour, and they just have numbers on their name tags. And, buyers were allowed to come in and just say, I want number 24. And when I think it's so important when you put a face to this and you say, this is not number 24, this is not 27 million people, this is actually a child who is now pre-med at a university, who's now studying nursing, who's now a computer programmer, who is dreaming again about their future. And it's my favorite thing to do when we go to our homes is to say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we do it differently in each one of our homes, but in our Thailand home, we have this big map up of the world on one of the walls. And there's all these different countries, and we have every child pick a country of one of the countries they want to visit when they're older. And we have them study the country and learn some of the food and some of the words and start to dream about getting out of even just their own reality. And I feel like that's so important. It's love that changes people. It's us taking the time, even in our own lives, to believe in the people around us and say, you can do this, you can change your circumstances, you can keep going. But then even more than that, the opportunity for us to reach out to people who have no voice, who cannot rescue themselves, and to say, I'm going to lend a hand, whatever that looks like, whatever way I can do it, use my voice, use my time, donate, give, whatever it looks like. Because in reality, someone who's trapped in sex trafficking cannot rescue themselves. And I think that's what we're all echoing here. Do you guys have any more thoughts? I'd love to. I know we've had a lot, kind of like a heavy conversation, but what else are you thinking? Feel free to jump in.
I think it was the way you produced it. It was elegant. It said what it needed to say without going over the line. And I think that's really what people need to see.
Thanks.
I'd just like to echo something that Chike was kind of talking about. In even obviously donating is the easiest way to just get involved right now in the moment, and that's always appreciated. But even if you can't financially do that, just having a conversation with someone in your circle and encouraging them to do the same has a massive ripple effect. Or just sharing this video, or just talking about it to your friends has a huge impact, and that's free. So if this calls on your heart, if this pulls on your heartstrings, if you want to help and you just don't know where to start, or you don't feel like financially you can afford to donate, please just have a conversation. Just start bringing it into your normal, discussions with your circle, and that is going to make massive change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to sum up everything that's been said by adding to that and saying that the scale of the problem doesn't need to dictate the scale of the solution, and just encourage people, as Katie was just saying, to keep an open heart and to support where they can, because I genuinely feel like putting love into the world, into the atmosphere around this issue has an impact, and I'm grateful to you, Erica, and to Unlikely Heroes for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Brian, Jess, or Angela, anything you guys have to say to wrap up our call?
What Jessica was saying is pretty profound about, even the abusers, like that you have to be at a level of brokenness that, I don't know, there's got to be somewhere where that comes from childhood or whatnot. And I need that to reverberate inside of my soul, what she said, because, it is a huge problem that starts way back and from, things that we don't even see. And I just hope that this subject doesn't stay on one day per year or 1 month per year, and that we always have to revisit this because it's happening all year round. And I just hope that, this will just, put that in everybody's mind that's watching, that, we don't want to forget about it, even though it's uncomfortable. We want to be a part of the solution in some way all year round. So let's do it together.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, for taking the time to think about this subject. I think that right there is powerful, and that leads to change. And so thank you guys for supporting us, Unlikely Heroes, and for taking this cause on as your own.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
You're amazing.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.